Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sharissa Bradley. I am the founder and co-owner of 52 Press Independent Publishing House. I am so excited that you are here and thank you for joining me for another episode. On this episode, I would love to share with you the publishing process. I hear all the time, I would love to write a book. I would love to write a book. I'm writing a book. I've always dreamed of writing a book. Well, if that's you, then awesome, because I love books and I absolutely want to hear your story. So let me take a little tiny bit of time and tell you my 10 steps to publishing a book so that you can get your story out there as well. And I am going to share with you these steps, but I don't want you to be so stressed about writing every single thing down because I did create a download for you. That's an awesome little journal PDF that not only tells you these steps, but it actually has space for you to walk through each of these steps. So you're really gonna have your hand held using this PDF download. If you are interested in writing a book and you need that little extra hand-holding, then please check out this link down in the description box below. It is my 10 steps to writing a book, and it just goes even into more detail than I could ever do on a video. But don't worry, stay tuned for more videos because each one of these topics is going to be further discussed all on its own in an individual video because I couldn't possibly share all of the information to publishing in just one video alone. So stay tuned for those videos in the future. Let's get right into it. The 10 steps to publishing a book. The first step might actually surprise you because you'd think the first step to writing a book would be to actually write the book. But actually, we have to step kind of forward and backwards before we even start writing a book. And the very first thing we need to determine is, who are you writing this book for? Now, it's really tempting to say that the book is for everyone, but chances are there is actually somebody out there who really would benefit from the education that you can provide from the life that you have lived. So really dig in deep to who your target market would be, who your target reader would be, or who your target audience would be. Now, what that boils down to is, who is this person or who are these people that you would want to read your story? Now, the important thing to understand is that not everybody is going to understand what it is that you're trying to write. And that's okay. Not everybody is for everybody. So the very first thing we have to do before we do anything else is to determine who it is that we want to read this book. And that really helps us when we're writing the book, because while we're writing, we can think about that person that we really want to benefit. We can think about that person that the book is being written for. And then it becomes really easy to talk to that person and to tell them exactly what you want them to know. And by doing that, it becomes a very targeted, a very specific type of book, which is actually really great because we need to be able to tell who it is that this book is for. So step one is, who are you writing the book for? And once you learn that, then it'll be really easy to start writing that book because you'll know what you want that person to learn. You can do some things that are like really specific, like gender and age and where they live and how much money they earn every year. Or you can be a little bit more vague and just sort of getting a concept of who this book would be for. The more specific, the better. And in the workbook, you'll see that there's a very specific outline for a profile for the person that it is that you are writing this book for. Who is your target audience? This becomes important again when we get to the end of the book. Step 2. We actually have to get those ideas down onto paper somehow. And this isn't yet the time to actually write the whole entire book out because chances are the ideas for the book are kind of scattered here and scattered here, and maybe there's some chapter ideas and maybe there's some table of contents ideas, maybe there's a title or a cover idea, but not really a whole cohesive picture. That's okay. Step 2 is actually a brain dump. What a brain dump is we just take all of that information that's in our brain, all of those little random tidbit notes, and we put them all in one organized place. This is going to come in handy. Trust me, this is something I do for every single time I start writing. I just dump out all the ideas that are possibly popping up into my head so that I can find them in one place, and then I can start to organize and start to create some cohesion out of that big messy pile of ideas. So step 2, brain dump. Step 3, we're gonna start breaking it down and setting some goals. Now, again, we really haven't started writing the book out, but that's because writing a book actually takes quite a bit of time and energy. And it's more than you'd think when you first get started. It is more than just writing the words down on a piece of paper. So the third step is actually to start to kind of create a strategy for yourself. Maybe start setting some deadlines of when you would like that first draft written. Maybe you think it'll take you a month, or maybe you think it'll take you 3 months or 4 months. For myself, when I start to write a book, I give myself a year because that seems reasonable, it seems feasible, and it seems like if my book is going to be anywhere between 10 and 20 chapters, I could easily break up the chapters per month in that year span. So I give myself a reasonable expectation, a reasonable deadline, and then we start to break it down based on what we have. So we know we have the brain dump, we know we have our target audience or our target market, so we know who we're talking to. Now what we have to do is create a little strategy or a little plan for ourselves of how we can actually get this accomplished. When you're writing a book for yourself, it's different than when you're writing a book where you have like these deadlines and you have somebody to report to. When you're writing a book for yourself, no one is going to tell you, are you writing your chapters? Did you get your edits done? Are you ready with that manuscript? You have to be that person for yourself and really self-motivate. So writing the plan and helping yourself to stick to it and to maintain discipline is really important before you even start writing, because once you get into the writing process, it can become overwhelming when all of that information is on your brain all at once. It does help to refer back to the strategy and say to yourself things like, I only have to write a few sentences today. I only have to edit 1 chapter today. Based on my schedule, I'm a little ahead or a little behind, and these are the things that I need to work on. It really starts to provide that structure or that framework that we need in order to actually write a book, which is challenging, but I applaud you for sticking along this far. In that workbook, there is an area to write down the strategy and to write down your goals and your game plan for how to meet that strategy. So don't worry too much about having to figure out how to write that all down, because it is done for you if you follow the steps. Step 4, we're finally starting to write. And this is what I lovingly call a shitty first draft. And what I mean by that is sometimes, most of the time, probably all the time, the first draft is just basically a bunch of jumbled up sentences, lots and lots of mistakes and errors and run-on sentences and punctuation all over the place. And that's perfect. That's perfect. A shitty first draft is all you're going for. All you have to do is get all of those ideas in some sort of organized fashion, in some way organized in a lineup, and that's gonna take a little bit of effort, but if you just tell yourself, this very first one that I'm doing is just my shitty first draft, and I'm gonna have lots of people help me and read it and refine it along the way. You're gonna have lots of opportunities to refine as you continue to go on the writing process, but all you have to get out on that step 4 is that shitty first draft, and I know you can do it. Okay, step 5. Once you get that first draft written, it's really lovely if you can have some people help you read it. And what this is called is beta readers. Beta readers, like any beta functioning of an app or software, it's the very beginning where we know there's going to be some clunky spots. We know there's going to be some parts that don't quite work right together. We maybe even are going to need to be moving some chapters around. That's okay. These can be some of your friends. This can be some people that live in your same house with you. This can be people you don't even know. Anybody who's willing to read your story for cohesion, for flow, to make sure it makes sense, to make sure that there isn't any missing parts or missing information. When you're writing your own story, you know yourself and what you went through and the things that you experienced. But when somebody is reading your story for the first time, there may be some areas that need further clarification. So that's what this beta reading stage is for. We're gonna learn the places that need a little bit more refining. Once you get your feedback from your beta readers, the next step, step 6, is your proof editing or professional editing. So first go through and make any changes that your beta readers suggested. Really fine tooth comb with spelling check and punctuation check. And at this point now you're going to be looking for a professional editor. So step 6, we're looking for an editor. And an editor is somebody who specifically reads books for all of those little grammatical details and errors that can come up when we're writing a book. And trust me, there are so many that you wouldn't even really think about that a professional editor can really put that polishing touch on your books. Now, this does have a cost involved, and professional editors are often booked out way in advance. So this is something you check in and you maybe send a few emails, 3 or 4 editors, and ask what their prices are, how long their turnaround is, and if they have room in their schedule for your book when you're looking to have your book edited. So professional editing is something that you're going to have to go out, find some people, vet them, and then send them a piece of your manuscript. Each one is going to have a different pricing scale. Usually you're looking at a per word editing price. So however big your manuscript is, that's going to determine how much it costs to get your book professionally edited. But you absolutely don't want to skip this step. This is the step that really makes or breaks a book. It can really seem like polished and put together, or it may even kind of turn out a little sloppy if we don't do it with some people who do this for a living. This is their job, to do the editing and to really find like every little detail, every misspelled word, because sometimes when we're doing our spell check programs, they won't correct a word because the word is correct, but it isn't exactly the correct word that should be in that place. When you have professional editors, they take the time to really make sure each of the words that you chose was the appropriate word, that everything is flowing properly, and it really helps to just put that polishing touch on. So we've got our own editing, our beta readers who are editing, and then professional editing. And that level of refinement creates a perfect book. Now we're on to step 7, and step 7 is the fun stuff. And the fun stuff is things like picking out your cover and getting those little details that are just so fun. What we think of when we're writing a book the whole time is like the title, the cover, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. And up until this point, it's just been words on a screen or on a printed piece of paper. But at this step, when we're starting to pick out those things like the font and the formatting for the book, where the page numbers are going to go, that's when the book starts to really come to life. So even though you had to wait all this time and we're now at step 7, now you get to do the fun things and pick out the way that your book is going to look on a shelf someday. So the way that we do that is we pick book formatters, we pick a cover designer, and we really get into the nitty-gritty of like the details. For me, I like the page number placement. I know that seems a little bit nerdy, but I really love to determine, like, on this book, I'm gonna put my page number here, and that feels fancy to me. So if you're into the little details, step 7 will absolutely be the fun stuff for you as well. And that takes us to step 8. Step 8, we get a little bit technical. So in order to publish a book, you actually have to, first of all, pick somewhere that you're going to publish that book. Amazon actually allows you to publish your book as an independent author for free. They will even give you an ISBN number and a barcode. You don't have to have any money to upload a book and have it be available for sale on Amazon.com. There is also a platform called Ingram Spark. They just recently took all of their publishing costs away. So now it is also free to publish files on Ingram Spark, which allows you to have worldwide distribution. And I'm talking about like Barnes & Noble, and that's my dream, and all over the world, worldwide distribution. So both of those platforms offer free publishing. Now on Ingram Spark, you do need to have your own barcode and you do not need to have your own ISBN number. And those come at an expense, but it is pretty minimal considering the fact that you get to have worldwide distribution. I think that is so epic and so cool. So step 8 is actually these technical things that we need to learn, like the types of files that you need to upload. If you're going to upload your book to Amazon, you're going to need specific file types. Now, I also put that information in the PDF downloadable because it's just a lot of terms and it's easier if you can just refer back to it. So the types of files that you're going to need for an Amazon book, for instance, are going to be a PDF. So whatever document that you ended up creating, you'll export it as a PDF and you'll export your full cover, which is actually not just the front, but like the front, the spine, and the back, all as one piece. All of that gets uploaded to Amazon or Ingram Spark as a PDF as well. And then if you decide that you want to publish your book as an ebook, there are specific directions on how to convert your book yourself. So you can easily, well, maybe not easily, but you can make your own ebooks, you can format your own book, you can upload your book for free on Amazon without any barcode, without any ISBN number. And that becomes a pretty cool, exciting experience. Once all of your files are complete, all of your manuscript is formatted, your book cover is done, then your files are ready to be put onto whatever platform that it is that you choose. So step 8 is learning what file types you need and what software you're going to need, and then what platforms you're going to publish on. So there's a lot now. There's a lot of different options. A simple Google search will take you to many different platforms that allow you to publish your book, some of them for free, that offer worldwide distribution as well as editing tools and formatting tools available through their sites. So lots of great things to check out. I'll add some links in the description below to Amazon KDP Publishing as well as Ingram Spark Publishing, so that you can kind of get a feel for what it is that you're going to have to do once you get to that point of file upload. Next, we are on to step 9, which is actually uploading and publishing the book. This is so exciting, and I just recently published another book, and it took a couple of tries to get the upload file correct, because once they go into a review process, you may or may not have some corrections that you need to make, which becomes a learning experience, and it can be fun, it can be extremely frustrating, but that's step 9. So step 9, once you have all of your files complete and you have all of the things that you need to upload, step 9 is actually upload and publish the book. Now, a couple of options. Ingram Spark allows you to offer pre-sales. So you can upload the files, and instead of publishing right away, you can offer it to your public or your audience, or that target audience, your publishing pre-sale link. So you would be able to create a little marketing buzz before the book actually comes out for release. So that is an option. Otherwise, if you publish on Amazon, they publish your book immediately as soon as the files become available. So it would be about a 72-hour turnaround if there are no corrections, which is probably rare, but I'm sure it happens sometimes where people get lucky and it goes right through. The last step, step 10, is marketing. Now that you've written this beautiful book, it's time to get it into the hands of the people who need it the most. How do we market the book? That's a whole section, a whole journey all on its own, and I'm still learning a lot of that myself. So stay tuned for marketing on another video. But marketing brings us back up to step number 1, to our target audience. In order to market a book, you need to know who it is you're talking to. What are they trying to learn about? Why would they want your book? And what value would it provide in their lives to read this book, right? Our time is so limited and our time is so valuable. So what is it about your book that's going to bring that target audience in that they can't live without learning this information? They can't live without learning your story. Step 10, marketing. But it takes us back to our step number 1, our target audience. This is why it's so important to kind of start with that target audience in mind, because then you can be marketing the whole way. Like I said, Ingram Spark allows for pre-sale orders. They actually allow for pre-sales up to 1 year in advance. So as you're writing your story, you can be creating this buzz, you can be creating this marketing structure and this marketing strategy back to that number 1, that target market audience, and be building that buzz for this book to come. So let's do a quick recap. We've got step 1, who's our target audience? Who is this book for? Who are we talking to? Who are we writing to? Step 2, brain dump. Get all that down on paper. get all those messy ideas as best as you can out onto something tangible so that you can easily start to organize and play with it. One thing that I really like to do in my brain dump is actually make a table of contents. Now, I have seen in my own books that the table of contents changes dramatically throughout the writing process. However, by writing that table of contents during that brain dump, I'm actually able to allow myself the ability to kind of put those pieces in place so that while I'm working on my strategy, step 3, then I'm able to really tell myself, okay, this week I need to work on this chapter, this week I need to expand on this editing, etc. So step 3, breaking it down, setting those goals, and creating a strategy for yourself. If you are an independent author, you don't have somebody hounding you to get it done, get it done, get it done. You have to be your own motivation and your own cheerleader. The way that we can do that is by setting a goal, setting a plan and meeting it, by actually taking steps and action towards meeting that goal little by little by doing these steps. Step 4, your shitty first draft. Get it down on paper. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It's not gonna be perfect, probably even ever, but we have lots of steps for refinement, including the beta readers, your second draft, and the professional editing. So lots of time for refinement. This is just the time to get it out of your brain. It's very challenging when we sit down to fight those monsters in my brain that say, this book is never going to be anything, and this book isn't going to be as good as you think it's going to be. You have to like battle yourself and fight it out and win and keep writing. And just tell yourself the whole time, like, this is my shitty first draft. It doesn't even matter what it looks like. It doesn't even matter if I capitalize the letter I. I'm just going to write and see what comes out. Once you get that shitty first draft, you're able to push it onto your beta readers, which is step 5, and those beta readers are going to be able to help you to see the areas that the book is missing components. Once we've done that, we can go on to professional editing. Remember to reach out to a professional editor a few months in advance before you think you're going to be done, because that gives them time to put you on their schedule. You'll also want to look for a few different editors, maybe 3 or 4, and sort of do your due diligence. If they are going to be editing your words, make sure that the way that they edit your words is the way that you would edit your words. Make sure that it still sounds like you that is telling the story. And they'll give you samples of their editing. You'll send in a chapter, they'll sample edit it back, and you can read to make sure that the language and that the verbiage and that the tone and that the vibe is still you. That's very important. So vet your editors. Professional editing is step 6. Then we move on to step 7, which was the fun stuff, getting to design the cover, getting to format the inside of the book, getting to pick the place where your page numbers go. For me anyways. Step 8, we're going to learn about the different file types that we need based on the program, based on the software, or based on whatever platform it is that we're going to be publishing that book on. So if it's KDP, we need a PDF. KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, so that's Amazon. Or if it's going to be Ingram Spark, they have a very specific way that they want the files because they need your color in your book. If you have any color on the cover, if you have any pictures on the inside, they want them a specific way. So that is another little thing to know about. It's in the PDF, and I'll put a link down below for that. Next up is our uploading and our publishing process. So we're gonna actually put those files out for people to read. And then last up, we're gonna tell the world that you just published a book. How incredible, what an accomplishment, congratulations, and just everybody should know. Thank you so much for being with me on this episode. Don't forget, if any of these things seem overwhelming, which they definitely are, I created a guide for you. You can get that in the description box below. And if you stick around for more videos, I'm gonna dive into detail about each one of these 10 steps on their own video by themselves. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Have a great one.